Hello everyone, and welcome back to Musician's Life. Today we're going to talk about how to get a good metal tone out of your guitar. Yes, I am currently using a Dean Vendetta 2 7-string, custom airbrushed by me, with a Seymour Duncan Blackout active pickup in it, right? That's what I use, that's what I've always used. The pickup is what gives me the sound I like in this particular guitar. I'm using a Behringer VT100 head, and I've been using this thing for 7 albums in, and it has good cleans, and I don't use it for distorted sound. I use my pedals. One in particular I use for recording and stuff, and for live performance. But to get a good metal tone out of your good metal sound, good metal tone out of your guitar and your guitar amp, or just in general, this is how you do it. Be yourself. Now, a lot of YouTubers out there who, show you how to get a good metal tone out of your guitar, they're not telling you that it's totally subjective. It's totally individual to the person playing the instrument, what sounds good to them. So there is no right or wrong way to dial in a metal tone. There is no right or wrong way. It's totally subjective, and that is the point of this video. They're not telling you that. They'll show you what they're doing to turn the knobs to get the tone they want, but they're basically doing that and portraying it to be the right way to do it, which is not true at all. It's totally the individual who's playing the guitar, whether or not the tone sounds good to them, if it cuts through the mix well with, the other guys in the band, or if you're recording, if it cuts well through, the rest of your tracks. But there is no right or wrong tone for metal. There's millions of distortion pedals out there, millions. I'm using a Boss Metal Core ML2, tweaked to my preference, the way it sounds good to me. And for some strange reason, everyone else thinks it sounds amazing, so they like my guitar tone. But I'm not going to show you how to dial in, because it's totally subjective. It's totally up to the individual playing. I will show you my tone, although it's not really the way I'm doing it with the camera audio. It doesn't really do it justice, but it'll give you an idea. It'll give you an idea of what it sounds like, and I might throw in a clip of my music in here somewhere to kind of show you what it sounds like, recorded. The one thing I will say is that in order to get a good guitar tone and sound, you have to learn how to EQ it. That's the important thing, EQing. It's not about dialing in a distortion sound to the right way. It's about EQing with bass, treble, and mid, and all that stuff. But even then, that's totally subjective. As long as you're not turning everything down to zero, right? You gotta have some bass. You gotta have some mids. some treble. You gotta learn to EQ stuff, because if you have everything turned all the way up, yeah, it's gonna sound a little rough. If you have everything turned all the way down, it's gonna sound a little rough as well. It's gonna sound very flat and just tinny. So you want to EQ your bass, middle, and trebles to a point where it sounds good to your ears. You know, you'll find that distorted guitars will either hurt your ears if it's not EQ'd properly, or it's going to sound flat and tinny and all that jazz that you don't want in metal guitar sound. But like I said though, there's hundreds of distortion pedals that you can use that have different distortion sounds to them, distorted sounds, and you know, frequencies and EQs and all that shit. So it's totally subjective. There is no right or wrong way to dial in a metal tone, but EQing is important. That's what I'll say. So I'll show you my guitar sound. So here it is. So, as you can hear, I have my bass up a little bit at around 10 or 11 o'clock, right? That's my bass. The middle is the same thing, 10, 11 o'clock. If you're playing live, I would turn the mids up a little bit more so it cuts through the mix well with the other. The drums, the cymbals have a certain frequency that the guitars need to cut through in order for it to sound, you know, good on stage, so the audience, you know, can hear what you're playing. Treble I have at 3 o'clock. But again, you can turn that down slightly, you can turn it up slightly, depending on what your sound is. But I wouldn't go all the way up or all the way down on either one of them. Now I'm running this on a clean channel, so So there is no right or wrong way to sound. This is my sound just through the cab at a very low volume. So and I'm using a really rounded pick, so yeah, that's not good either, because if you're doing fast picking like that, you won't really get to, you'll probably slip a few times, or, you know, rounded picks are a no-no, folks. Get new picks. Once they're rounded like that, get a new pick. You'll be able to pick better with them if you're doing fast palm mutes or triplets or stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, there is no right or wrong way to get a metal tone, a good metal tone. Just keep in mind, you have to learn how to mix. You have to learn how to EQ. That's the important part. And again, you have to EQ based on what the rest of your band sounds like, you know, or you have to EQ based on what your mix is when you're recording. But dial in your distortion pedal, or if you're using amp, just dial in what sounds good to you. You know, it's very subjective on how to get a good metal tone out of guitar. Find a pedal that suits you. You know, take reviews for different metal pedals. Just take it for what you will. It might sound good to you, but it might not sound good to a reviewer, you know? So it's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. You know, just be careful though with distortion, because if you tweak the distortion, the gain too high, it might sound surprisingly muddy if you're tuned really low. Like my 7-string now is tuned to open A, right? So if you tune lower than that, or even to that, it'll sound muddy with higher, like really tweaked high, almost to the top distortion. So you want to back down to distortion a little bit when you're tuning really low, like F, G, A, stuff like that. Trust me, you'll thank me when you do that. So that's it for me, folks. I hope this was informative. I know I really didn't play much, but this is a video to show you that everything in the tone is subjective to your individual hearing. And it's also, you know, you have to EQ it to your band and your band's mix, and you have to EQ it to your recording mix. So there is no right or wrong way. For tone, anyway. EQ is important, but for tone, totally subjective. Totally. Same with clean channels. Clean effects, totally subjective. So do what you want to do. This is your music. This isn't other people's music. It's your music. It's your band's music. It's your music. Get a tone that you like. Don't worry about what trolls think. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. This is your music. This comes from your heart. This comes from your mind. So dial in something that you like. There is no right or wrong way. So that's it for me, folks. This is A Musician's Life. Take care, everyone.